Welcome to another Free Tool Friday. We're going to talk about 7 easy steps to improve your cybersecurity in your business today. All right, folks, welcome back to another Free Tool Friday. Today, we're going to talk about 7 steps to improve your cybersecurity for your small business, why it's important in 2022, and again, very easy to implement. Let's get started. So step 1, very important but often missed. Take an inventory of all your technology assets, okay? So if you don't know what you have, you don't know what you need to protect. It's as simple as that, right? So let's start with workstations, servers, networking equipment, and mission critical data. Now, networking equipment, we'll also talk about printers within that mix as well. So don't forget those when you're taking an inventory. Mission critical data, we define that as anything that you have as far as data, customer data, inventory data, any business data that you might have, that if you could not survive more than 24 to 48 hours without having that data, it's probably mission critical. So make sure to take an inventory of where that's at, how much data you have, who has access to it, just to make sure it's covered. So step 2, check your firewall configs. Now, this might sound technical, but it really isn't. So I'll show you a really quick way to check that. So dnschecker.org has a really cool port scanner. When you load this page up, it actually pulls up your IP address, so no typing into it. The one thing you might want to change, though, is the port type here. You can see it has server ports in there. Gives you a nice range of common ports to check to make sure that all of those are closed and no bad guys can get in. So real quick and easy one. Step 3, create an update schedule. So once you have an inventory of everything that you have in your environment, the next thing you need to do is start to talk about how to create a schedule for where updates and patches, firmwares, anything that might have to be updated for security reasons, for stability or performance. You can actually do this really quickly in an Excel spreadsheet like we've done here as an example. So again, covering those workstations, servers, network devices. We've called out printers here very specifically. The one thing that I'll tell you about is the reason that we do this is not just to have a schedule for having a schedule. It's more about making sure that everybody knows when things happen. So for instance, a lot of employees may or may not know in this example that patched Thursday is what we have instead of patch Tuesday. So we do that actually internally so that we can have a couple of days to analyze all the patches that have come out on patch Tuesday. Make sure that there's nothing in the environment that's going to take down the servers, cause an issue with that application. Then we go ahead and update those. And we call out the time here specifically to let employees know that, hey, please leave your equipment on Thursdays after you leave for work. We're going to update everything at 7 p.m. So by the time that they come in the next morning, then everything is already set. Should be rebooted. If not, then you just need to reboot, but should be a simple thing. And there's no reboots in the middle of the day. There's no nagging, update notifications, no timers going off that make people nervous when it says, hey, we're about to reboot in the next 60 seconds, 60 minutes. It's all a lot smoother if you do it outside of your normal working hours. Step 4, multi-factor authentication for everybody. This is an easy one for us. We have to use these apps as part of our business on a daily basis. Microsoft has their own authenticator app. Google has their own authenticator app, Authy, Duo. You can see Facebook even has one of their own authentication apps as well. The reason for this, or the basic premise behind it, is to say that you have a username and password, most likely, that you take and use for, say, your banking information or any of the tools that you might use. You put that in, you click the go button. Well, if somebody has that password, they're in. So if a hacker grabs that password from somewhere, that they're actually going to get in very quickly. If you have a second step, basically a phone with you or email or whatever you would like to have as your second step of authorization, if they type in a password, hit the go button, then you still get an alert. You can actually say decline in most of these apps, ignore, delete, whatever that mechanism is for the app. And even if somebody has your password, they won't actually be able to access the account if they can't get past the second form of authorization. So it's a very quick and easy way for you to add an extra layer of security that just keeps the bad guys out for that much longer. And one other quick fact is that Microsoft did a study that shows that 99% of all account takeovers could be prevented if multi-factor authentication was in place. So that's a big number that we need to pay attention to. Step 5, get the right endpoint protection. This is something that we talk about all the time. So a lot of the cases are people go and buy something from a retail store, say Best Buy, Walmart, Target, wherever the big box store might be that has a PC, right? It comes home with you. It's got all the trials on it. It might even have free antivirus or endpoint protection, but it's not the best. Free is not the best ever that we found in the antivirus or endpoint protection world. A couple of the ones that we recommend right off the bat would be Sentinel-1 and WebRoot. Sentinel-1 is the most advanced endpoint protection out there, in our opinion. WebRoot comes in pretty close. Bitdefender is right there with WebRoot and ESET. You can't hardly tell the difference between these three on the bottom of this list here. So when it comes to endpoint protection, most of the ones that you'll see that are free are not what they call next gen. These are next gen and get their definitions from the cloud. So they're constantly updated all the time. They don't have to download them once a day like in the old days. So the problem that caused was that there was a gap. So you would download those definitions once a day, and then between that time and the next day, if something new came out that could compromise your machine that wasn't in those definitions, your machine was vulnerable at that point. So great thing to check out to make sure that you have at least one of these on there, or at least a larger name brand, and potentially not a free version, to make sure your machines and your equipment are as protected as they can be. So step 6, we're talking about backup, backup, backup. So we use the 3-2-1 method, which means 3 copies of the data on 2 different media types and 1 offsite. So if your backup architecture doesn't look like that, you might need to take a look at it to see if you could actually add to that or make sure that it is as robust as possible. So that location of your mission critical data, is it being backed up? That's a good question, right? So all the time that you've taken to inventory where that mission critical data was, make sure it's being backed up. The second thing we like to talk about to folks is, did you find mission critical data was actually stored on a workstation? Maybe that was a PC sitting on the floor, a laptop being carried around. That's actually pretty common in smaller clients of ours. It's actually more common in very large enterprises. They get isolated. People travel all the time. They don't sync the PCs very well. So if you find that data is stored on those machines, and especially mission critical data, make sure that that's backed up. One free method that you can use is if you have Microsoft 365 licensing, you can actually use OneDrive as your backup source. So if you find the settings for your OneDrive, you can actually click the backup tab and then select backup, and it'll walk you through how to back up your data. So number 7, train to win. One of the things that we talk about all the time is everything can be undone with a single click, and you have to train for the result that you expect. One of the things that is a cheap, very efficient, very effective way to reduce your cybersecurity risk is cybersecurity awareness training. Most of the time these days, it can be delivered right to the desktop. Nobody has to go to a specific seminar, webinar, that takes 2 hours. These are 5 to 10 minute, maybe even 15-minute chunks that can be consumed very quickly and digested very quickly and implemented very quickly. So that's another tool that you can put in your bag as far as cybersecurity risk and reduction of that risk. So that wraps up the 7 steps to improve your cybersecurity for your small business. One of the things that I would like to stop and take a moment of your time would be to like and subscribe. If you like this content, we'll keep doing more of it. If not, give us some comments. Let us know what you like, what you need to hear about. If any of this content strikes a chord with you and you would like some help to implement these in your business, there's a link in the description below for a free strategy session. It's 1 hour, book a call with us, no obligation. Let's talk about your strategy that you have in place today, the strategy for tomorrow, and if there's an opportunity for us to help. So I'd like to thank everybody for stopping by. We'll see you next Friday.